We had Builders come over today and he freaks out. I think he needs anxiety medication. He's just such a little stress head. Aren't you? My aim for today's video is I would like for it to be kind of like a tutorial cross behind the scenes creative process. The reason why I want to do it this way is because if I turn this into a pattern, I would have to make this jacket more than once, which I just don't think that I'm going to have the mental willpower to do. Plus that would mean buying more zippers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try and make this and make a pattern as I go, and you're just going to follow along with me with the process. I'm going to tell you what I'm using, what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and you can hopefully follow along with me. Today we're going to be making the double zip jacket that I spoke about in my pin to pattern video. I've been wanting to remake this jacket for a really long time. It would be the perfect way for me to actually test out the theories that I use in my pin to pattern videos. Obviously that is all just me brainstorming, and I can't actually guarantee whether or not the ideas that I have are going to work. And so I think this is a good way for me to test out my theories, and also so that you can have a little bit more trust in me when you're watching my pin to pattern videos to know for sure if you can actually listen to the things that I'm telling you to do. The beginning of this journey has been kind of rocky. Trying to find a double zip was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. For some reason I thought that they wouldn't be that hard to come by, but I think people just mustn't buy them enough in order for stores to actually stock them. But I had no idea of this, so I left it to the very last minute. I went to a local sewing store. It's just like a very small store. They don't play music in there. It's one of those stores that feel really kind of awkward. I walked in there, I was the only customer in there, and the lady that was working at the time, she was just standing behind the register just staring me down, and it just triggered my social anxiety. And then after about a minute of me scanning their zippers, she was like, do you need help with anything? And I was like, yeah, do you have any double zippers? And she just looked at me and she was like, what is that? My imposter syndrome kicked in so rapidly, and I said to her, oh, it's just, you know, the zippers that open at both ends. And she was like, no, we don't sell that. She was just standing there staring at me, and I'm just standing at the zippers, and then I got really awkward and anxious, so I just spent the next 5 minutes staring at these zippers pretending like I was gonna buy one of them. And I was like, where the hell am I gonna find a double zip? Also, because I left it last minute, I couldn't order one online because it wouldn't get to me in time. I didn't want to buy a zipper from Temu or anything like that. I ended up going to Spotlight, which is like a big craft store here in Australia, because I needed to buy my yarn anyway, which, by the way, if you buy your yarn online, please tell me where to buy yarn from. I ended up just getting some of this 8-ply cotton yarn. In the process of buying this yarn, I did come across some double zippers. They didn't have the biggest range of double zippers, but beggars can't be choosers. So I got this white one. We're gonna try and make this work. This cost me $15. That feels like a rip-off, to be honest. I did do a gauge swatch last night. The stitch works this way, but I think I'm going to do it and then turn it this way so that when it's stretched on your body, it looks more rounded, the stitches, rather than kind of sharp, if that makes sense. In my pin to pattern video when I was talking about this jacket, I speculated that it was I can't remember the name of the stitch. I'll put it on the screen. To me, that looked right at the time. However, when I did a gauge swatch of that stitch last night, I was like, this is not the stitch at all. Did some more research again. Turns out that the jacket is actually knitted with a mesh to the left stitch. I did do a bit of research to try and find a stitch that looks exactly the same as that knitting stitch. This stitch was probably the closest thing that I could find that was still very beginner friendly. I'm going to show you how to do this stitch. I think you're going to need to do a gauge swatch, so you may as well do your gauge swatch while you're learning how to do this stitch. So you're just going to start with a slip knot. For a V-stitch, you're going to be chaining in multiples of 3 plus 7 at the end, because this will work as your first turning chain, I guess. So this is 24 chains now. So now I'm going to chain an extra 7. From here, you're going to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. I like to work into my back loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So this in itself isn't the V-stitch, but your rows will begin and end with 2 double crochets next to each other like this. Turning chain that you did before, that classes as your first double crochet. So you've got your 2 double crochets now. So now we can start working the actual V-stitch itself. From here, you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip a chain, so this one here, and do a double crochet into the next chain. And then to do the V-stitch, all you need to do is chain 1 and do another double crochet into that same stitch, and that there is your first V-stitch. All you're going to do is you're going to skip the next 2 chains, so 1, 2, you're not going to do any chains up here, and work into that 3rd chain. So we're going to do another V-stitch in here, so we're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet into that same stitch, and you're just going to keep repeating that until the end. And then at the end of your row, you should have 4 stitches. So what you're going to do here is just going to chain 1, and then we're going to work a double crochet into the last 2 stitches. So we'll skip these two, do 1 double crochet here, and then another double crochet in the last one. And that is basically the foundation of a V-stitch. In order to do your next row, you're just going to chain 3 and turn the work. Chain 3 that you've just done counts as a double crochet in itself. So we're going to do another double crochet in the stitch next to it. Then from here, you're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start working our V-stitches into the space. So we're going to do a V-stitch into this first V here. So you're just going to do a double crochet into that space there. Then you're going to chain 1 and do another double crochet into that same space. And you're just going to keep repeating this system to the end. And then at the end of the row, once you've done your last V, you're going to again chain 1, and then we're going to just work 2 double crochets at the end here. So you'll work a double crochet into the top of this double crochet here, and then you want to work the last double crochet just into the top of this turning chain. So just find the top of it, so here. And that is all you need to do for a V-stitch. I'm going to do probably about 10 rows of the V-stitch back and forth. But as I'm measuring it, I'm going to pull this tape thread, maybe like 1.5 inches. Shoot some shorts. I don't really post on TikTok. I get really like anxious about posting on TikTok. I don't know, but I'm gonna film some shorts today as well as try and get this jacket done. I feel like every week I am filming the same kind of thing. I would really love to be able to insert a lot more of my creativity into my videos and not just have it be as simple as tutorials. I don't know. I'm kind of just trying to brainstorm how I can keep providing patterns to you guys without completely boring myself in the process. Getting to be creative every single week and provide you guys with something that also inspires you to be creative is fulfilling in itself, but I just need a little bit more. Even while filming this week, yesterday was meant to be my big filming day, and I was hoping to get a lot of the jacket done yesterday, but then I could not find the motivation. Even though I've been so excited to make that jacket, I just feel like because I feel repetitive in my weekly routine, I feel like you guys think I'm being repetitive, and I'm hoping it's not translating like that. I really don't know. I'm feeling a little bit creatively lost at the moment. The other day I had this idea to start a forum for creatives in general. It doesn't have to be just crochet. One of the struggles of being a creative is not really having people in your circle to bounce off of all of the time. Not saying that the people in my life aren't also creative. It's just nice to have a space where you can bounce off of other people who are trying the same things as you or trying something new, or if you want opinions off of other creatives, show each other our work in progresses, and we can do like monthly challenges, and I can put my written patterns in there and all of that kind of stuff. I think it would be a nice way for me to also connect with fellow creatives, especially since I spend all of my time at home. I do feel like I isolate myself a lot, and also connect with the people that watch my videos, because I think that's really important. You guys are so supportive and kind. I'd like to just provide a space for people to also be able to experience that kind of reassurance and that kind of support. Anyway, that's just an idea that I had. I'll show you what I've done of the jacket. I've nearly finished a front panel. It took me a little while to figure out the neck shaping for it, but I got there in the end. I'm gonna finish this panel first, and then I'm gonna show you how to do your front panel with this neckline. I think it's actually gonna turn out really cute, and I was a bit worried that I would not be able to tackle this. That is where I'm at. Guys, I just finished my first panel. I've been doing the neckline the whole way up, and I shouldn't be doing that. So this curve here up to about here, that's the neckline. That is where this top ribbing should stop. Up here where it's the shoulder should be the V-stitch. So I've just done 9 rows. Now I have to unravel it and do it again. just pushed myself to burnout and I just needed a few days off. It's now the next week. I have a new pair of jeans. My boyfriend got me new flowers. I feel so much better. Really excited to finish this jacket. I'm going out for dinner with the girls this weekend, so I would love to be able to wear it then. I finished both my front panels. This is what I'm working with at the moment. I need to attach the zipper now. I know in my pin to pattern video I said that the way that I would do this is by making all my panels first and then attaching the zipper at the very end. The more I move along with this project, the more I'm thinking it's probably better that I attach the zipper now before I make any other panels.
Dresses, yeah, full on. Jeff and I are in actually such a good...
anyone would say.
You're just going to be stitching in and out of the top of your single crochets like you would normally with any stitch. You're going to work into each individual single crochet as you're stitching it to your zipper. First of all, make sure that the top of your zipper is going to be connected to where your neckline is, and also make sure that the 3 rows of single crochet are the side that are going to be attached to the zipper. It's important to know that when you are working into the zipper that you don't stitch into this section here. See how there's like a little line right next to the zipper that is slightly different to the rest of this material here. You don't want to work into that little line there. If you work into that, it's going to be really hard to zip and unzip your zipper. So just make sure that you leave that little gap there like I've done on this side here. You're going to basically use that line as a guideline of where your needle is going to go. So I'm first of all just going to pin my panel in place. Once you have pinned your panel in place, you're just going to grab a long piece of the same yarn that you're using and a needle. I'm going to start from the bottom. You can remove that first pin. So you just want to insert the needle through the end here, leave a little gap at the top here, and remember to not work into that little line that I showed you before. And then I'm going to go through that first stitch. So just pull it through and then leave about 1.5 inches just still sitting at the back here, and we'll weave all of that in later. Basically all you're going to do is you're just going to weave in and out of your stitches. Make sure that you keep holding your panel against your zipper as you work so that it doesn't create any weird gaps or pull anywhere. So I'm going to go in through the top of the next stitch and out through the back. Just be a bit careful here because it will potentially just unravel if you pull it too hard. Only the first few stitches, we're going to go back through into the next stitch, and just to make sure that everything remains in place, I'm going to go back in through that last stitch, and you're just going to do that for a couple of stitches. So now I'm going to go through the next stitch and then back into the last stitch. It'll make sure that this part here doesn't just unravel. So now from here, we're just going to weave as normal. We don't have to go back through any stitches. So I'm going to go out through this stitch, in through the next stitch, and then I'm going to come up through the stitch next to that one. And you're basically just going to repeat that all the way down. This is what everything looks like put together so far. I'm actually surprised. I feel like the white zipper doesn't look as bad or as harsh as I thought it was going to. I'm just going to quickly walk you through how you can get started on your back panel and the process that I'm thinking of taking. There's going to be a different starting chain to your front panel. Starting chain for your front panel starts on the inner section here, where it's going to be shorter than the outside due to the increases that we have in the collar section. So I needed to try and figure out how big my starting chain needed to be in order to match the edge of these panels here. I have figured it out, although I will say that I kind of went into tunnel vision for trying to figure it out, and my brain spat out a bunch of calculations, and now I can't actually remember how I figured out to make this work. Basically all I did was I took my starting chain, which was 84 plus the extra 5, so 89, and I just added 10. I would have done 99 for my starting chain. I don't know how it works, but it did work. So basically I did 99 stitches for my starting chain, and I've done my first row of my V stitches. Now I am just going to back and forth do my V stitch for as many rows that I have here until the collar. So for me it's 8 rows of just the plain V stitch, and then for as many rows as I have total in the middle here, which I think is 18, I am going to do my ribbing just for 6 stitches like I have at the end here. That's where I'm at the moment. So
So this is your sleeve panel and this is your front and back panel together. Just lay everything out flat. You'll obviously have your other sleeve over here. And first you want to line up the center of your sleeve so that when you fold it in half, it will fold over perfectly. You're going to stitch the sleeve at the top, the rest of your panels. From there, you'll close your top and it will be joined here, but this part of the sleeve will still be open and this part of your top will still be open. So then you can just do one long seam from the base of your top down here, all the way up around this corner and all the way to the edge of this sleeve. And then your top will be all stitched together.